The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Monday morning helpline session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea. And I'd like to start, as always, by welcoming our participants. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Now, you guys ought to know this, but this is a holiday today in Canada and in the Commonwealth countries around the world because it is Victoria Day. It is Queen Victoria's birthday, and of course, you've got to celebrate that. So this is a big day for Canadians. So we can say anything we want about Canadians today because they're not on the webinar. So let it all out. Whatever you're feeling, any thoughts negatively, this would be the time. And this is our forum to do it. I'm kidding, of course, but I'm not. This is Victoria Day, and so I'm not expecting that Craig or the Canadian members of the system are going to be on the webinar here today. But this is our Monday morning helpline session. We can talk about anything you like. This is a free-for-all. If you want to discuss any challenges that you're having with the system or anything that you'd like clarification on, you want to talk about some of the USPs, the role-playing, lead generation, the sky's the limit. Anything you would like to discuss, you decide, and we will discuss it. So you've got a working mic. You can type your questions into the chat. You can let us know what's happening. We've got some events coming up that you'll find on your event schedule right on the website. So make sure that you're prepared for those, and we'd love to see you at all the upcoming events. You know, we've got a boot camp coming up in June in Huntington Beach for the coaching members, so that'll be good. We also have our Florida Super Conference, and we're doing our platinum event there as well, of which our coaching members are also invited to participate, and that's coming up in June also. So all kinds of live events as well, so make sure that you take some time to look at those, look at your schedule, and make it happen, because it's really important that you be there. If not at all of them, then certainly at some of them, and I think you'll find that it really goes a long way in clarifying what it is you're doing. So anyway, having said that, why don't we do this? I know that some of you have some things on your mind, perhaps questions, etc. You can either type them in the chat. If you have a working mic, you can indicate that you've got a question, and we can have a little conversation, and we can talk about anything that you want to. I've gotten some really nice emails, by the way, over the past couple of weeks here from a lot of our newer members that joined in Florida in March. So those are our newest of all of the coaching members. And I know some of you have been around for longer than that. But what we find is around this time, a couple of months into the program, is where you really start to make a turn. And what begins to happen is the lead generation becomes solidified so that you can focus on lead conversion. So in other words, it is normal in the very beginning that you focus on lead generation, and lead generation is everything, and all of your focus is on your website and running the ads and tinkering and testing and tracking and figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and establishing where those couple of leads are going to come from every day. Once that happens, and that can, for some that's a shorter period of time, but let's say that happens well within a couple of months. Now all of a sudden you realize you've got these leads and you've got to do something with them. And for those of you that have been participating on the various sessions, for example, the role play sessions, you're fairly well versed by now with the universal callback script. That becomes a learning curve as well. But as soon as you're able to generate leads consistently and predictably, and you're willing to call them and use the universal callback script, then the truth is that's when stuff begins to happen. That's when now we're meeting face to face. Now we're starting to actually create some business from the system. And for a lot of you, that's happening right now. Those of you that began in the Florida session in March. So we're super excited about that. And I understand when things don't go well or when you have a challenge, yes, be very vocal. Don't be quiet about it. Don't make sure that we know, your coach knows, we know, so that we can do something about it. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So when things don't work, when they break down, make sure that you're extremely vocal about that. But at the same time, when you have successes, make sure that you share those as well. Okay, that's really important also. We need to know what is actually happening with you individually with the system. And if you're vocal about it both ways, it'll pay dividends. You'll really see that, and we've been doing this a long time, so I assure you that's the way to be. But don't be shy about sharing your challenges as well as your successes. So anyway, having said that, Andrea, our lovely operator assistant, why don't we take some questions or some chats or anything that anyone would like to discuss on today's webinar. The sky's the limit, as I said, so let us know what you'd like to talk about.
Yes, sir. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and type your question or comment in the chat box or the question box at the bottom of your webinar control panel. You can also ask your question aloud to the group by clicking the hand icon. Remember, you must have a mic or be on the telephone to ask your question aloud. We have a lot of questions in our chat, so we'll go with those first. This is from Paige. We have a listing appointment this morning. We are sending out our guarantee program in that neighborhood in June. This couple hasn't heard of it yet. Should we mention it to them at the appointment?
Well, it depends on what guarantee program it is. If you're talking about the guaranteed sale program where you're offering a guarantee, the way the guarantee program works is it's a trade-up program. Okay, so remember this. The way the program is going to apply to them is in one of two or two of two ways. Okay, let me explain. This seller is going to have a guarantee placed on their home under one condition, and that condition is that they're moving up and buying one of your listings. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that is unlikely. It's unlikely that that seller is going to be buying one of your listings. So you're not going to guarantee the sale of their home. You're not giving them a guarantee on their home. What you are going to do, though, is you're going to be willing to give a guarantee on the buyer who's moving up to their home so they can put a firm offer on their property, not contingent on the sale of their own home. So let me give you the scenario. You are, who's this question from, Andrea?
Paige, and just to confirm, she said the guarantee will be sold in 82 days or we pay you $3,000.
Okay, so that is a guarantee. It's not the guaranteed sale program. That is a guarantee. That you can offer to everybody. Okay, that's perfectly fine. And yes, you should bring it up. Here's why. The condition of the program is pricing their property. You must mutually agree with them on market value, and you must list it within market value range in order to give the guarantee. So you want them to take you up on the guarantee. You want to bring it up. By you articulating this guarantee and them agreeing that that would be beneficial to them, it guarantees that they're going to be reasonable in pricing their property. So yes, by all means, you should definitely be using the guaranteed sale program, or that guarantee anyway, in your presentation. It's a way to ensure that you're going to get the property listed you know, at a good, reasonable, competitive price. Now, I would also make sure that you do this. When you do things that are different out of the traditional realm, you need to vocalize that. You need to make sure that they understand that the traditional realtor does not make any kind of guarantees whatsoever. In our industry, it is unheard of. If you've interviewed other realtors or if you've used a realtor before, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, it's highly rare and unlikely that a realtor will give you any kind of guarantee on performance or outcome. But I understand that I need to set myself apart in order for you to see the benefits of using my services. And that is why I offer a guarantee such as this one. It's because of the net result I'm going to get you. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm able to give you a guarantee in writing that states this outcome. And so it's not just the guarantee on its own merits that you need to articulate. It's the idea that what you're offering them is not something that other realtors offer, and it isn't. And why are you willing to offer it? Why are you so confident in your performance that you're willing to back it up with an actual in-writing guarantee? This means something to the seller. It reflects on their perception of who you are and the expert that you are. If they think that every realtor offers guarantees, then it doesn't serve its purpose. It is only powerful if the prospect understands that what you're offering is truly unique in our business, which of course it is. So anyway, let me finish my thought too on the guaranteed sale program, because there are some of you that that are either considering or have implemented the full-on guaranteed sale program, which is a trade-up program. And you need to compartmentalize here how this program would work for every single seller you meet with if you're guaranteeing the sale of a property. Okay, so the actual guaranteed sale program. Remember this: if you're a seller, Paige is a seller, and you offer the guaranteed sale program, but Paige is not moving up to one of your listings. The way it works is this: Paige, it isn't unlikely that you will get an offer on your property, perhaps even a very strong offer on your property, that is contingent on the sale of that buyer's property. Now, we don't know anything about that buyer's property, and we don't know if or when it is going to sell. But if they make an offer and you accept it, and it's contingent on the sale of their home, and something happens and they're unable to sell their property, well, then we're stuck with all of that time wasted, and we got to start all over again. So here's what I'm going to do. In that circumstance, I'm able to jump in and remove the condition of their sale by guaranteeing it myself. In other words, if their home doesn't sell, I'll buy it myself. That way, you can accept a firm offer, not one that's based on the condition of their home sale. Okay? And again, I know this is not something that any other agent offers in the marketplace. This is not something that is traditionally done, but I do it for my clients to set me apart. The reason I do this is to put my money where my mouth is and show you that we're not all the same, and what I do and the results that I get are for a good reason, and it is because of the uniqueness of the different program services that I offer. Again, with any of these guarantees, if it isn't pointed out to the prospect that this is unique to you, it loses its effectiveness. So bear that in mind. All right, good question.
Our next question: what are the best days to do a Facebook or Google campaign? We spend about $10 a day for 30 days in a row. Or we can spend.
Then you will have your answer. Okay, if you run an ad 30 days in a row and you track carefully when your leads come in, you will know definitively when, what days, what times are most effective. Remember, Craig would be the first person to tell you this. Testing is what makes a good marketer. It's not just here's the magic ad, now go run it. It's here are several different ads, here are several different approaches, here are several different variations. Now you need to take those and you need to run them in various mediums on various days at various times and track what happens when you do that. There will be winners and losers. You're going to get rid of the losers and do more of the winners. That's all. A good marketer does more of what works and less of what doesn't work. That's all. But the only way to establish what works and what doesn't work is to test them all. So you're going to test every single day of the week. Okay? Now, for some of you, you could do that rather quickly. But if you have a limited budget, it'll take you more time to test all the different days of the week. It will take you more time to test different messages. But if you were able to run multiple messages at one time every single day, well, in a relatively short period of time, you'd have your answers. You'd know what works the best and when, and you could remove everything else and get rid of it. But based on your budget, it might take you a little longer to do that. Just make sure you're carefully tracking when your results are coming, and that way you'll know the best times and the worst times to run your ads. Okay, no more complicated than that.
And this question from Marilyn sort of falls in line with that. The same about Google ads. She's getting about 200 hits and only 4 leads. They're disconnecting their disconnected phone numbers. Some use 8 different ads with her Google. How does she know what to stop, what to keep going?
Well, it's all trackable. Every bit of it is trackable. The origin of every prospect is trackable. So you know exactly where they came from. But here's what I might suggest is that, and I know we've talked about this quite a lot, but all the ad is capable of doing is getting the prospect to click. The web page that they arrive at is what causes the prospect to be compelled to ask for the information. Okay, so what we need to look at is what can we test with the landing page to see if we can procure more prospects per click, right, is really what we're talking about. Is there anything that you can test where when let's say that we have a group of prospects. We take 100 prospects, and 50 of them go to this landing page, and 50 of them go to a different landing page. Which of those produces more leads? If they're both different, there will be a winner. That's the kind of testing that we're talking about. So, for example, we can set up our web pages so that we ask for very brief information from the prospect. Like, for example, give your address, you know, or if they're looking for a property, describe your property. Or sorry, if they're looking for a property to purchase, describe the property you're looking for, you know, the price, the areas, etc. And then we two-step the prospect before we obtain their contact information. Okay, there are all kinds of different ways that we can do this to determine a winner. And I know in the beginning, yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but you've got to be, you know, thinking in the background is this. Once I establish what works, it will work forever. We can do it over and over and over and over again and put it on autopilot. But yes, in the beginning, with ads like Google, where there are all kinds of different messages you can run, different times you can run them, different search words that prospects might be looking for, you've got all kinds of variables to test. So it's going to take a little time to establish that. But, you know, hopefully you're working with Success Website, you know, or somebody who's knowledgeable in that, who can help test those kinds of things, and you will arrive at the winner. But yeah, that's it. I mean, this is normal that you're doing this, but I'll tell you, as far as online, Facebook and Google are, I mean, they're the first ones that you will reach out to in lead generation when it comes to online. Those are the two things that you probably will be doing first and should be, because ultimate leverage. Hit the repeat button, and they run every day at very low cost.
And just as a quick note, I do see a lot of questions about how do I know when to stop running ads, tracking and such. We just did, I'm so sorry about that. My phone was ringing. We just did our session 3, and all of our groups have gone through this now. So if you go to resources, session materials, and session 3, mastering direct response lead generation, there is all sorts of resources on how Craig tested the spreadsheets he used. And then you can go to the libraries and the webinar library to actually review and watch what Craig discussed this past week. So that should help in learning how Craig tested and what he knew was what was working in all of that.
Well, and as far as the online stuff now, Andrea, it's even easier because with Success Website, you have your control panel that allows you to track everything, right?
That's right.
So it makes it even easier. Right, and I believe last Monday, I think Success Website were on the webinar last Monday. Is that right, Andrea?
That's correct. That's correct.
Let me also point this out. You're not looking for a certain number. Okay, that in other words, when you're tracking, what you're not looking for. Okay, so what is the benchmark that I'm looking for with results from an ad? That's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is this: which gets you the best? We're looking, what is the worst and eliminate, and what is the best? There is no comparison. We're not saying this is the certain number you should be looking for. All we want to know is, of all the different approaches you take, and all the different ads, and all the different places you run them, and all the different times you run them, which works the best? Now, the best may not be a great number, or it may be a really great number, but what we're comparing it to the results that you get, not anybody else's results, not a benchmark of what results we'd like you to get. What we want you to do is eliminate what doesn't work, and whatever does work the best, we want to do more and more of that. Because, you know, I think a lot of people might have a false perception of what results they should be expecting. Like, this is why this is a really valuable lesson that Andrea's pointing out for the tracking webinar 3 that Craig did, is, you know, it shows you that very typically over the course of a week, an ad that Craig ran might get 3 or 4 leads over the course of a week. But we're not just running one ad. We've got all kinds of different ads and all kinds of different mediums that are running. And collectively, if you're running 10, and even if they were averaging 3 leads, well, that's 30 prospects a week, which is, you know, obviously more than you need, you know. So you got to bear that in mind. What we're looking for is, when you're tracking, what is working the best, and that's what we're going to do more of. And what isn't working, you're going to get rid of, and you're going to change the variables. Okay. Okay, anything else? Andrea, now, did anyone say anything bad about Canadians, by the way? They had their big opportunity today. You didn't read anything, I hope.
Not yet, A.
Oh, hey,
A.
I saw that.
Well, Daniel is asking a interesting
I see
question.
what you're doing. I see what you're doing there. Yes, what
You
is
know,
Daniel's
all that
question?
talky stuff. So, I just recently found out I am a millennial. So this question stood out to me. He said, "Are younger millennials and the Generation X mainly using the internet for finding homes? Does the classified newspaper ads work for these groups?"
Maybe not, but you're not limited to. Are you saying that if somebody who is 50 years old called and said, "I'm selling my home and I want to buy a new one," you'd say, "Well, you're too old. I'm not interested." Yes, obviously that is definitely true. The younger generations will probably be looking primarily online, but you're not limiting your audience only to a younger audience, right? So in other words, you might be right, but that doesn't really change the formulation of where your leads are going to come from. You're not eliminating direct mail or eliminating print advertising simply because a demographic doesn't look there as frequently as they would look online. Yeah, what you're saying is obviously true, but take something like this. I guess, Andrea, do you ever go to your mailbox?
Yes.
Like, what a stupid question. So, okay, but wait, you shouldn't be doing that. She should be doing it online, right? Like, there are just certain things that people do. So, yeah, if Andrea's searching for a property, or if a younger, as you say, a millennial is searching for property, they're going to do it online. So would most people. Do some look in print? Do some pick up real estate magazines? Do some look at the real estate insert in the newspaper or in the real estate section of the local free delivered newspaper? Do some. Not all. Do some. And the answer is yes, some do. Okay, well, why don't we get some of them? Because we have far less competition in print today than we did 10 or 20 years ago. Right? Fewer and fewer realtors are resourcing these mediums, so you have a huge opportunity to be able to do that. Yeah, you're not going to get everybody. You're not even going to get most. You're going to get some of some, but for the most part, you're the only game in town when you really focus on solid, effective print marketing. You can really procure some really, really good leads from it. And that is absolutely true in 2016 as it ever was. If you do it properly and you run effective ads, then for that segment of the population that is reading, you're going to get some of them. And you're going to get way more than your fair share of them as well, because there are fewer realtors that are advertising there. And I'll tell you, these are words right out of Craig's mouth. This is not... this is exactly the advice that Craig would give you. I can assure you of that. Good question.
Okay. And Daniel wants to add in, and Daniel has raised his hand, so it might be easier if he explains to you. He added more into that. Daniel, your line is open.
Hi.
Daniel, my brother.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. The reason why I actually asked that question is because I realize we have a good move up in the area, my marketplace. We have a good move up potential for buyers with homes to sell, and they think they're mostly millennials. There could be a little out of the box, but mostly millennials. And I ran an ad, and you're absolutely correct. I had no competition. It was a reasonably good size ad, but I didn't get a very. I got a teeny response. I didn't get as much a response as I expected. So I thought running it now in Facebook would help. Would be possibly much better.
It could be. Let's talk about it though a little bit. Okay, think about this for a second. The ad that you ran. All right, we got to look at a few different things. What did the ad say? Where did it run? When did it run? And is it possible that any one of those things may have affected the result of the ad? And the answer is of course. All of those things would affect the result of the ad. So in other words, if the ad didn't generate you the results that you were looking for, it could have been one of those three reasons. What the ad said, where the ad ran, when the ad ran, could affect that. So if you just throw away the whole thing, when all we needed to do is fix the part that, or test a different approach to one of those variables, we may find that you have something there that's really, really effective. So let's talk about that. First of all, where did you run the ad?
It is a home guide. We have about a 60,000 delivered, local area newspaper delivered each day, and it was run on the weekend. They have a Saturday. On Saturday, they have an insert, where it's called the home guide, and that insert has a little classified section at the back. And I ran a multi-column Torrance move-up buyers, the 3+ bedrooms and more, free list of homes with pictures between 750 and 1.2 mil, and then I have my my URL, moveuptorrance.com, or free recorded message in big bold type.
Okay. So you're offering a free list of move-up properties. That's the message in the ad.
Correct.
Okay. Which I like. I mean, that's exactly who you're targeting. You're targeting move-up buyers. But what if I asked you this? Instead of running that ad in the local newspaper where it goes to everybody, including areas that wouldn't have move-up buyers, what if we did this? What if you did a direct mail piece that offered the same information, but instead you targeted the more likely move-up communities in the area? In other words, if we know that the person that moves into a 750 up to $1.5 million property likely comes from a price range in the, say, 400 to 600 range, then you could only target those neighborhoods where we know that the overwhelming majority of the homeowners in that neighborhood would be move-up buyers. If they're going to move, they're likely moving up. So now you can use more of a rifle approach to target your message to them versus running the ad in the local newspaper, which goes to virtually everybody.
I immediately, right, I totally agree, and I think I will do that.
Okay, now here's another suggestion, because I don't want you to throw away this newspaper because I like the idea, but how about this for an idea? I've got two suggestions for you with this local newspaper, okay? The first is this. What if you were to run an editorial style ad in the paper? Forget about the classifieds, okay? We're going to run an editorial ad in this paper. We're going to try it one time on their busiest day of circulation. So maybe that's a Sunday, I don't know, whatever their busiest day for this local paper is. And the editorial is going to say this: avoid these critical mistakes when selling your home and moving up to a larger home in Torrance.
Okay, avoid these critical mistakes, right?
Right. Avoid these critical mistakes when selling your Torrance home and moving up to a larger home.
Okay.
We can probably work on making the headline a little more readable than that, a little more grammatically smooth.
When selling your Torrance home and moving up.
Exactly. What we're saying is this, okay? You're scanning the headlines. Is everybody? No. Or some? Yes. They're scanning the headlines. On page 3 or page 5 in the local paper, they come across an article, and at the very top of the page it says, avoid these critical mistakes. Avoid these devastating mistakes when selling your Torrance home and moving up to a larger one.
Okay. Great.
Like, we're going to reach out with a big hand out of the newspaper and grab the prospect by the throat. If you're considering selling your home and moving to a larger home in Torrance, you need to read this article about these critical mistakes.
Okay, and that's one of our. I appreciate the a little bit of the setup for the title, and that's I think that's one of the standard reports.
Yes, it is. It's on the web. It's on the website. You'll have the content to it, but this is important. Right. I only want you to use a hotline to order the free special report. No website. Just use a hotline.
Okay.
Let them order the report. Pick up their cell phone and order the report on the hotline. It's going to say 24-hour recorded info. Order your report.
Okay.
Okay, and that way we can capture everybody that picks up the phone and calls. Most are going to leave a message, some won't, but we're going to capture everybody.
Okay.
Okay, so, and it has to say Torrance in the headline if that's who the local paper goes to.
Okay.
Okay, that's
right. Will do. And yeah, make
okay,
sure
now,
I have Torrance.
that's ideal one. Okay, I have one other idea for this local paper that I want you to try next after that.
Okay.
And that is this. I want you to take the exact ad that you ran in the classifieds.
Okay.
Only I don't want you to run it in the classifieds. I want you to run it in the paper itself further towards the front as remnant space. And I want you to use reverse type. So white on a black background. And talk to the paper and ask about remnant space, unused space in the paper. When they're formatting it, they can just put in the ad. So it can be any size. Whatever space you have left, stick it in there, but give me a deal on running it. And try that as well once or twice, because here's what might happen, all right? Obviously, most people read the newspaper from front to back. So you would agree that there are far more eyeballs that read the first pages of the paper than the last pages of the paper. By the time they get towards the back, a lot of them have dropped off and they're not reading it. So your message is only being seen by a very small percentage of the readers of the paper. Now, granted, we would agree that it's more likely prospects that are looking there, but those same prospects, it is an unlikely, if they're there, it's because they read the local paper. So we can capture them by running these ads in remnant space. We can make the same message really stand out on page 3, right, than expecting that they're going to get all the way to the back of the paper and read the classified. So it's very much worth a test, and I would encourage that after you've tested the editorial ad, because I think that's where your best bet is going to be. Now, as far as directly targeting the millennial, the move-up buyers, if you will, okay, whether they're millennials or not, they're move-up buyers. They may turn out to primarily be younger, yes, but watch this. You're going to do it in 2 ways. One, you're engaging in a Facebook campaign. Very good idea. You can use demographics there as well, right? You know how old people are on Facebook, so you determine the age group you're looking for. You know, if they're under 30, you know, you may want to save your money. If they're over 50, well, then, you know, you may find that that's not the demographic either. So you can play with that, and you can determine who sees your ad and the demographics of that group. Okay, that's Facebook. You're also going to look into a direct mail campaign using Every Door Direct. You can target the precise neighborhoods that would represent a typical move-up buyer, so that only they are going to receive your postcard offering you this information.
I really appreciate that. I definitely, the one question I had on remnant space, that would be, I think it's an excellent suggestion. On remnant space, do you get what you get, meaning I'm not sure, and I understand remnant space, but is it typically in like the main section of the of say if it was a weekend paper,
Yeah.
might it be a main section?
It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere in the paper. So the benefit to you is, because it is unused space, you know, hopefully you're getting it for pennies on the dollar. What you would normally pay for an ad to be placed where you want it would cost you more money than to have your ad run wherever they can run it. Right? That's the only difference. So yes, you're rolling the dice, but the benefit is you're saving a whole lot of money because they have this unused space. Now they know they can grab your ad and they can shove it in that space, and at least they can get some money for it. Now, they're not going to get the same money as if you had requested a specific space, but that's good for both of you. Everybody wins in this scenario. They fill up their unused space in the paper when they're formatting it. You have an ad that's running for pennies on the dollar.
Well, that's great. One question: I did have a reasonable, okay layout. I mean, size rather. I would say it was a 2-column wide by maybe a 2-inch long. Would I want similar? I mean, it doesn't have to end up laying out exactly that way.
Exactly. It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Would it be okay
if they said it's absolutely okay. It's okay if they reformat the size to fit the space that they have.
Okay. Okay. In other words, I can say that would be the ideal space, but whatever you want to do.
What you care about is the message. Okay, so I want the message Okay, if you've got more size than that, then yeah, you make it bigger. If it's smaller, make it smaller. But it's the message that you want to make sure is visible.
Well, those are excellent suggestions, and I thank you. I definitely will proceed with those ideas.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well,
Thank
thanks for sharing that with us, Daniel, and best of luck. We'll look forward to seeing what you do and sending it into the ad clinic on Friday.
Great. Thank you.
So we have a few follow-up questions, so I'll go on to those. This is from Carol. I have connected with some leads who hang up as soon as I introduce myself. Should I try to call them back at a later time, or should I eliminate them?
Well, listen, we say this a lot, but the truth is this. What you've got to figure out is this the exception or the rule? Right? In other words, if you told me, oh, it happens to me all the time, everybody hangs up on me. Well, I don't know. I mean, I would suggest you record your calls because I'd like to know what you're saying. It's you. If everybody hangs up on you, then what you're saying is clearly not effective, and we got to listen to what you're saying, and you need to say something else. However, if you say, I get people that hang up on me from time to time, yes, so do I. So does everybody. So did Craig. It's called normal. We're not going to change our system by fixing the exception. It's going to happen. But if you tell me I'm always getting hung up on, I'll tell you right now, the way you're introducing yourself is ineffective. It is the problem. And likely what's happening is this. Because you're not setting yourself apart from a telemarketer or some kind of unwanted solicitation, the prospect is hanging up just as they would or you would on a telemarketer calling. And where it usually occurs is when you introduce yourself as a salesperson and pause. We find that all the time. In other words, if I were to call and say, "Oh, hi, Andrea, it's James calling with Remax sales rep. How are you?" I have in no way set myself apart, nor have I given any reason why I'm calling. I've simply stated, hey, Andrea, it's your lucky day. A salesperson's calling you. How you doing? And the answer is, no thanks, I'm really not interested. Goodbye. People don't like to talk to salespeople. Funny, even people that are motivated to any degree to do something aren't interested in talking to salespeople. I'll give you proof. We've walked into stores before for a very specific reason, and we've said no thanks, just looking to a salesperson. Even though we were motivated, we still said no thanks, just looking, and that's exactly what's happening with your prospects. Hi, I'm a salesperson calling you right now. How are you? Oh, no, I'm not interested. Thank you. It's the same as you say to the salesperson. So we cannot do it that way. I know it sounds like a small detail, but it makes a big, big difference. We have to explain immediately and very clearly and articulately why we're calling them, the reason we're calling them. And that reason is that they requested information from us. It's got to be clear. And if it isn't unlikely the prospect will hang up. Hi, Andrea. It's James calling with Craig Proctor's office at Remax. And the reason I'm calling is I got your request on my website earlier this morning looking for a list of move-up properties in Torrance. And I just wanted to give you a quick courtesy call and let you know I've put together that list and emailed it to you. I hope that's okay, Andrea. That's very different. It's far less likely that Andrea is going to hang up the phone because it sounds like the call's over anyway. And after all, she did request information from me, and I'm such a nice person that I'm calling to let her know that I got her request and I did it. It makes it a lot easier for Andrea to say thank you. Kind of like this. The salesperson in the shoe store says, hi, may I help you with what you're looking for today? Prospect says, no, thanks, just looking. Salesperson says, well, are you looking for casual shoes or formal shoes today? In other words, we don't have to just take the approach that keeps getting us the same results over and over again. If the clerk at the shoe store every single time hears no, leave me alone, then perhaps they might want to take a different approach. Now, they rarely do. Oddly enough, they rarely ever take a different approach. Usually the question is, can I help you with anything? And the answer is no, I'm just looking. And they say, great, and they walk away. But you'd think that with that result happening over and over again, they'd kind of change their approach. But they don't. But that doesn't mean we can't. So this is likely what is happening with you, is the prospect doesn't differentiate you from an unwanted solicitation, and we just get rid of these kinds of calls. So it's really important that very clearly you articulate the reason you're calling, and that will get you a more consistent result. You'll still get people hanging up on you, but it'll be very rare. Okay, hope that helps.
The next follow-up question we have is from Allison. She says, can I have someone call on behalf of me if someone calls to make an appointment for me, but eventually she will not meet that client? How to let the client feel comfortable?
Well, easily. I mean, I booked appointments for Craig and for his team. I booked appointments. I didn't even know who was going on the appointment. It's irrelevant. It's in your head. They don't care. They don't know you. Right? It's not like they know you. Remember, just use terminology like we and us. Hi, it's James calling with Craig Proctor's team, Craig Proctor's office at Remax Omega. We are an organization. We're a business. We have people. We have specialists. You're going to be meeting with our specialist, our buyer specialist, to help figure out exactly what you're looking for and take down your exact criteria so that we can get you on your way quickly with the very best properties being emailed to you on a daily basis, absolutely free of charge. Listen, they don't care. They don't know you or anybody else on your team. It isn't relevant to them. This is made up. In your mind, you feel like, wouldn't there be a problem here? Aren't they comfortable with you? It isn't real. It's your perception of what wouldn't they think this? And the answer is no. So if you're booking appointments for others, use we and us, not you, not you. You're going to be meeting with us. We are going to provide you with properties that come on the market every day from all the various real estate companies. It's we. You're an organization. And you're going to come and meet with us, not me, us. I assure you with absolute, I'm definitive on this. This will not make a difference at all. If anything, it will lower their threat of obligation, right? When you appear to be a bigger, more successful organization, it means it removes that idea of desperation. Whereas if you're the individual person, who's clamoring onto this prospect, then that may be more intimidating to the prospect. So in fact, this may even work better for you. So anyway, it's very simple and a very reasonable thought that you're having, but I assure you it's not relevant.
Okay, I'm just going through some of our questions. There's a few of our members who are asking about where can I get good examples of Google pay-per-click ads or Facebook ads or even Craigslist ads. And I know on our ad clinics that we've been having on Fridays, I hope you are all joining those, even if you're not submitting your ads or you don't have anything to submit. I hope you do. But it's really good to come on those sessions because we really see these examples that you can take and use. And if you're not coming on those sessions, you're missing an awful lot. But just for reference, we do record them, and you could watch them. And we also have all of our past ads in the Ad Clinic archive here. So you would just pick a date, and hopefully this one works. And then everything we look at, the examples can be shown here. You just have to be careful because some of these ads are not what we would suggest to use. They are not a copy of Craig's. So it's very good to watch them.
The idea is to watch, I guess, yeah, you watch the webinar and you can hear our comments on them. But let me also suggest this, okay? Most of you are using Success Website to help you run your ad campaigns online. So they know the very, very best performing ads, and they will show you. So if you were to call Success Website and set up a talk with them and say, hey, can you show me some of your absolute best Google pay-per-click ad campaigns that Craig Proctor students are running with the best success, some of the best platinum lead generators? Show us those. They will. They've got them. They run them. It's not a secret. Listen, the Google pay-per-click has to do with the keyword searches and the ads that are being seen when you search for those keywords, right? Prospects are looking for properties. You're offering hot lists of properties that prospects are looking for in your marketplace. The keywords determine the ad that they see, and we know what those keywords are. They mean the keyword search is probably more critical than the ad itself almost, right? Same is true with the Facebook ads. It's what offer is being made. Online home evaluation is excellent. There are different variations of that, and everybody has success with a different variation. You need to begin to test those different variations, offering properties for sale, offering online home evaluations, different demographics, different ad spends, and you will hit on the formula and hit the repeat button and do it over and over and over again. But if you want examples, in addition to on the website, as Andrea is suggesting, if Success Website is helping you with yours, they can show you plenty of examples.
And yes, and we are working with getting Christy on. Unfortunately, it didn't work out last Friday, but Christy will be coming on this, hopefully the 27th, on our ad clinic to show us the 5 best Facebook and Google pay-per-click that is going right now for our members. So it's going to be a a can't miss webinar.
Yes, a can't miss event on Friday.
That's
perfect. Right. That is good timing. And let's remember this. Write that down somewhere. Let's make sure that that's exactly what we do when we have Christy on Friday. That's exactly what we need to do, is look at these examples, and not only of the ads, but also the landing pages as well.
And we know that's what our members want to see. We know they want to see what is working the best. So that's what we're trying to do for you guys.
Excellent.
Okay, let's see. We have some questions that we've answered already. A lot of our members have the same types of questions, so I want to make sure we are getting to ones we haven't addressed.
That's okay. I've answered the same question many, many times before. I don't mind at all. I quite like it, in fact.
Okay, Warren asked, where do we find the script to respond under question 4 of the universal script when the prospect responds that they have a realtor?
Okay, so remember this. What we're trying to determine is timing and motivation of the prospect, right? So the reason we're asking that question is twofold. Number one, we want to find out if they're already committed to somebody else so that we can get rid of them if they are. But the other reason we want to ask that question is because it's going to give us some insight into their motivation. Let me give you an example. If I say, do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right? And they say yes. Okay, now what I want to figure out is, okay, is this somebody that they're absolutely committed to, or is it that they've met a realtor? Because if they're 100% committed to working with their brother-in-law, then I might as well get off the phone and go on to the next prospect. I'm not going to tear them away from an immediate family member or somebody that they've comfortably used for 20 years. Okay, I can opt not to do that. But more likely what they might say is this. Yeah, you know, I met a realtor at an open house and they've been sending me properties. Okay, now here's what I know. They're not committed to any realtor that they met at an open house. Okay, what I do know is this, though. By virtue of the fact that they met another realtor at an open house shows me that they're serious, because normal people don't meet realtors at open houses. People who are motivated do that kind of thing. So I'm asking the question to find out whether or not they're committed to somebody, and if not, their level of motivation. And having met a realtor shows motivation. Well, you know, I've called some realtors off some signs, so I've got some realtors that are sending me properties. Who calls off signs to realtors? Motivated prospects do. So they're not committed to any one of those agents necessarily, but it sure does share some insight into their level of motivation. So here's how this conversation might go. Do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right? Yeah, we've got a realtor that's helping us. And are you 100% committed to using that realtor exclusively? That's the question. Well, you know, it is my brother-in-law, and we've been using them for many, many years now. So yeah, we're going to use them. Okay, great. Well, the information's on its way, as I mentioned. So have a great day, and if there's anything else you need, you can. I'm sure you can get that from your brother-in-law, if need be. Have a great day. Goodbye. But what if the answer is this? Do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right? Yeah, we do have an agent that's helping us. And are you 100% committed to using that agent exclusively? Well, I don't know. We haven't committed to anybody yet. We're just looking around right now. We met them, through an open house, and they've been providing us with information. Okay, here's my question. Have you gotten what you need to know? Have you gotten what you need to know, which is, are they committed to another realtor? No, they're clearly not. But the purpose of your call was to determine motivation and timing. Have you determined motivation and timing by virtue of the fact that they told you that they met a realtor at an open house who's sending them properties? Does that show motivation? Yes. Normal people don't do that. Normal people don't just go into open houses, let alone discuss with the realtor, properties to send them. That's what more motivated prospects would do. So they're shedding some light onto that. And so now we can just go on. We know they're not committed, but we know they're motivated. Now we can move on and procure an appointment from that prospect. Cool deal.
And Warren is asking where the script is for this, but I don't believe we have another script. We just have the universal callback script, but we do have the objections sort of written out as I'm showing.
I was going to say under common objections, and we've got this written in a few different places, but the common objections might be here under that one. I'd be surprised if you wouldn't find it under objections. It's not really an objection though. Right? You're asking a question. Do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right? No. Well, then move on. Yes. Are you 100% committed to using that realtor exclusively? That's the question. Are you 100% committed to using that realtor exclusively? Write that down. There's nothing beyond that you need to know. That's the only question that we would ask. If and only if they say yes. Yes, I'm committed. Are you 100% committed to using that realtor exclusively? It's a yes or no question. And if the answer is anything other than yes, then move on. Keep going. It means they're not committed to another agent. That's good. That means they might be committed to you if we've taken them through the system. All right, let's keep going here.
Okay. I'm looking through them. I lost the question I wanted to go with.
Oh, my.
Okay, there's so many. Okay, Lee, I found a neighborhood I want to farm. For the postcards, do you have a list of postcards to use over the next year or 18 months, including the timetable of mailings?
Well, what we'd rather do is we'd rather stick to the one that generates the best results. I mean, you may not realize this, but every other week, Craig sent out 20,000 online home evaluations. And before it was online, it was over the phone home evaluations. It was the same message. In other words, you will become bored of your message long before the prospects become bored of responding to it. So, no, you don't need a different message every week for 52 weeks. It's completely unnecessary. All that means is you're going to get a different result every week. And we don't want a different result. We want a very consistent and predictable result. So, granted, we don't need to send them out every week. You can send them out less frequently than that. But what I'd rather you do is test different messages. When we find the messages that are most effective, we're going to hit those messages over and over and over again. And remember, the prospect that is considering selling is the one that is going to put it on the kitchen counter. And the one that is not considering selling is not even going to pay notice. They're going to look at it and drop it in the recycling bin. And the day they find out they're being transferred is the day they see it for the first time. Even though it's been in front of their eyeballs every other week for months and months, they never noticed it until today. Because today they found out they're being transferred and they need to move. And now there's an offer in front of their eyeballs that says, find out what homes in your neighborhood are selling for online. And that's a very compelling message to somebody who's found out that they need to consider a move. Okay, so the messages here that you want to focus on are, you're going to start with less branded. Okay, not branded, less branded. Start with less branded offers. I would recommend online home evaluation and find out what homes in your neighborhood are selling for on the other side. Start with that offer, not because it's going to be the best, but because it has proven to be the best in most circumstances. So I want you to start with it. We're not saying that that's necessarily going to be it, but it very likely is going to be the best message. That's going to be your go-to or a variation of that. The other thing that you want to do is specify the area. So you said you've picked out a specific farm area. Okay, so it has a name. Make sure that that name is referenced in the headline. Don't say, find out what homes in your neighborhood are selling for. Have it say, find out what homes in your Glenway neighborhood are selling for. Specify to the prospect who lives there their particular area, and procure a domain name that includes the name of the neighborhood or farm area in the domain name. Make sure that name is in the domain name as well. The more specific it is to them, the more beneficial the information is. And you can see all of these particular examples here that Andrea has pulled up.
Okay, our next question from Kennedy. How can I use this program to convert for sale by owners to work with me? I had a few sellers who want to pay selling broker side, but not the listing side.
Okay, read that one more time, Andrea, sorry.
Okay. How can I use this program to convert for sale by owners to work with me? She had a few sellers, or he had a few sellers who want to pay the selling broker side, but not the listing side.
Well, yeah, you're not going to get everybody. I mean, remember, this conversation with your for sale by owner is about net. This is not about commission. It's not. This has nothing to do with commission. It has to do with what they net in their pocket. So our suggestion is that two things. First of all, most sellers who sell their home consider selling their homes privately and never ever do. In other words, if you ask most sellers, did you ever even for a second think about selling your home without a realtor? Many of them will say, well, I thought about it for a second. I didn't do it, obviously, but I thought about it. So most think about it. Okay, now watch this. You also know that the overwhelming majority of those few that actually do attempt to sell their home privately, they fail. They're unsuccessful. You all know that because you're realtors. You know that's true. Okay, now, did you also know this? Of those that do successfully sell their home privately, majority of the time, they end up netting less than they would have if they used even the average realtor with the average results in the marketplace. That is also true in most marketplaces as well. So we have all of this information. We know all of this. If you never ever did any business with a for sale by owner who actually was going for sale by owner, you'd have plenty and plenty of sellers to work with even without them. But here's the approach that you might want to take. If you help the for sale by owner that's determined to attempt to sell their home themselves, if you help them by giving them a professional 24-hour hotline and allowing them to use that hotline on the one condition, and that is as follows. Mr. and Mrs. for sale by owner, I would be more than happy to provide you with a 24-hour hotline number. I'll even provide you a professional sign if you'd like. You can record your own message on it. You will get all of the messages, every single one of them. It's all yours. This will help you because it'll allow people to get information on your property 24/7. Okay? Here's the deal, though. All I ask is that should you be unsuccessful and should you decide that you would like to consider a realtor to help you, that you allow me to apply for the job. I'm not asking you to hire me. Why would you know that yet? But if it's something that you do consider, all I ask is that you allow me to apply for the job. Does that sound fair to you? Now, knowing that overwhelmingly most for sale by owners are unsuccessful, then it isn't unlikely that you're going to have your opportunity with that seller. And since you're the only one that actually helped them, it's pretty much a natural fit that that you're going to be able to procure their business. Now, here's the deal. The conversation is about net. It's not about what they pay in commission. This is a conversation you could have with any seller. You're making it sound like this is a for sale by owner issue talking about commission. No, it's not. This is a conversation with anybody that, you know, in terms of your commission, what they're going to pay. Okay, we need to make it clear how we net you more money in your pocket. How do we do that? What are the things that you do to ensure that you bring the maximum exposure and the maximum number of buyers to their property so that the price goes up so that they net more in their pocket? And that is what the conversation has to be about. Listen, people don't mind paying more to get more, but they need to understand how the process works. And if they do, people are more than willing to pay a little bit more to get a better result and to work with an expert. So this is a listing presentation question, not a for sale by owner question. Your question is, how do I get the commission that I deserve? Well, that is what your presentation is about with any seller, not with a for sale by owner. Okay, well, that's a great question to finish things off. Andrew, do we have a couple more before we wrap it up here this morning and celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday?
We have so many more. Let me see if I can find one that I think is the best one to end with.
Andrew, how do you celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday? What's your go-to celebratory? What do you do?
Well,
mostly fireworks.
You know, fireworks, balloons, a lot of wine. That seems appropriate.
A lot of wine. Yep.
A lot of wine.
You're onto something.
And go get my normal
Queen
box.
Queen Victoria would have wanted it that way.
It sounds like she would have.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, we'll go with this one from Francie. What is the best USP for our hot sellers market where homes are in multiple offer situations?
Okay, so you would agree that having a USP that focuses on the speed at which you sell their home is irrelevant. Homes are selling instantaneously in your marketplace practically. So the speed at which you sell their home isn't really relevant. How about this? That you sell their home isn't relevant either. Every home on the market sells. So any USP that focuses on the speed that you will sell their home or guaranteeing that you will sell their home is irrelevant. What is the one thing that is relevant to that prospect? The answer is this. How much money can you guarantee that they're going to make on their property? Let me be really bold. What if you said this? Your home sold for 105% of asking price guaranteed, or I'll pay you the difference. Well, I wouldn't do that. That's crazy. Is it crazy? Is it crazy though? Okay, let's consider this. What would be the one condition that you would have to determine in order to be comfortable making that offer? Number one, maybe you don't have to make that offer to everybody, but if the property was listed at market value range, not overpriced, but at market value range. It could be at the very top of market value range, but if the property was listed at market value range, is it reasonable that if a property is listed in that range, that the multiple offers would yield them 105%? Now, what if you said, well, no, but 101%? Okay, do it. I'm good with one. That's good. 101% is good. How about this? 100% is good. But I'm saying if we can be really bold here and you can guarantee that they're going to get more than 100% of asking price for their property. What you've described for me in your marketplace doesn't sound like that's a big stretch. You're the one who told me homes are selling with multiple offers over asking price. I didn't put those words in your mouth. You told me that's what's happening. So I'm saying, okay, if that's what's happening, then let's guarantee that it's going to happen. Because I'll tell you, the properties that are listed competitively are definitely the ones that get the most action most quickly. They're the ones that get the multiple offers. They're the ones who have the price driven up. So there is no downside to you making this offer. Now, the only condition that you want to include in there is this. The difference can't exceed your commission. How about this? The difference can't exceed your portion of the commission. So even if the market tanked and you sold their home for 95% of asking price, you can only work for free. You're not giving up more than the commission. So only what you would have made on the commission is at risk, which, by the way, is identical to a property expiring or a seller pulling their home off the market. Identical. You get zip. The worst case scenario is zip. You will never pay money out of pocket ever for this guarantee. I repeat, you will never take money out of your pocket for this guarantee, ever. The only scenario, the only worst case scenario is that you would sell the property and collect no commission. There'd still be a commission paid, but your portion would be given back, that's all. I say that's a no-brainer, and you should absolutely be doing something like that. Cool deal. Okay, Andrea, why don't we take one more and then we'll wrap it up. If there's one really good one here that isn't redundant that we've already covered, let's do it.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm so sorry. I was reading through some of them while you were talking.
Oh, well then.
Okay, so we're looking at the webinar schedule for this week, and we have a few members who are asking, I don't see all of these webinars, or how do I get on a platinum webinar? Well, my suggestion was we do have a platinum test drive taking place right now. So you need to get in touch with Todd, and he will have a quick meeting with you or Andre, to decide if this would benefit you. So for the couple of members who have asked me, how do I get on these platinum sessions? You can either email myself and I will get you in touch with his office, or you can email Andre at toddwalters.com, and then they will get with you to see if it's somewhere you're ready for these type of platinum webinars.
I like it.
So another question, we're asking a lot of resource questions. Where do I get templates? Specifically, we talked about testing. So as of this time, we do not have Craig's exact Excel template available. I'm not even sure who made that for him. I know he had an assistant do it. But basically all it is an Excel spreadsheet, and he's just entered his information there with dates. So I just suggest using Excel for how the best you can calculate your testing. But no, there's nothing on our site that is a template for your particular marketing.
Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Well, we'll look forward to everybody's participation, and especially remember to upload any of the ads you'd like us to look at on Friday, and I promise you we will do that this Friday without fail. We're also going to interview Christy from Success and look at some really good examples from them as well. So that'll be a can't miss, as Andrea called it.
That's right.
Right? It's our can't miss. But in the meantime, make sure that if you have any questions or you need anything anything whatsoever, you reach out to us, to your coach, to anybody and all of us, and we will help you. So be vocal and make sure we know what's happening with you, good or bad, and that way we can keep the ball moving forward. Andrea, thanks so much for your help today, and thanks to everybody for participating. Happy Victoria Day to everyone, and we will speak with you all later in the week.
That's right. Oh, well, let me just a quick reminder. Next Monday, we will not, that's Memorial Day, right? We will not have a session, a helpline session next Monday. I know that's a week away, and we'll remind you at the end of the week, but you can just mark that on your calendars. We will not have a helpline on the 30th, I believe it's the 30th or 31st on Monday.
Perfect.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, James. Everyone have a great week ahead. This officially ends the webinar for today.